Good morning. We continue in Sefer Shoftim, Perek Yud Daled. We're going to begin Pasuk Yud Ches shortly. We're up to the point now where Shimshon is beginning to develop his plans of how to kill Plishtim, but making it look like it's a personal issue as opposed to representing the Jewish people. And in the pre-wedding feast that he had with the Philistine men, he offered them a riddle if they could figure it out. They could not figure it out. They had asked, according to the Malbim, the woman that Shimshon plans on marrying to find out what the riddle is and to tell Shimshon to call off the bet, to give the answer and to call off the bet. She does extract out the secret on the very last day, as we'll see. And because she was, again, it's in Yud Zayin said, Vayaged lo, he told it to her, ki hitzikaso, because she was pressing him. Now, in Sudas David says it mildly, while the Rabbi says very clearly why he says it, although he gives two reasons, the Rabbi. He says, could be that since she made a lot of efforts to get it from him, impressed him, and he couldn't not tell her, and she was a nudge. You know how women can be. If they want to be a nag, stop nagging me already. But then he says, the second shot, or it could be she pressed him, that she was holding back intimacy from him. Because whenever he would ask her to be with him, she wouldn't let him be with him. Especially when his Yetzer Hara was strong, she wouldn't let him be with him, which was a punishment, as it were, to him. So when he couldn't tolerate it anymore, he told the secret. But when did he tell the secret? He told the secret at the very end of the 7th day of the wedding feast. In other words, he gave the riddle on the first day of the pre-7-day wedding feasts. They couldn't get it. They went to her somewhere during the wedding feast time, and then he didn't tell her until the very last minute. Now, why he waits till the very last minute, we will see shortly. But there was a reason for this. And did the thing stop?
That's it.
Did the thing stop? No. On someone's phone. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we're on Pasuk Yud Ches. Let me just check if there's a Malbim that I forgot. 1 minute. Next time I have to get a Sefer with the Malbim together on the same page.
But didn't he go away on the 7th day, or was it Shabbat?
No, that was when he went away. That's when they went to her. That was on the 7th day, meaning the Shabbat 7th day.
First week of this.
Right. Yeah. But now, at the very end of it all, now remember, the Malbim also says it worked out divinely, so to speak, that she was supposed to just tell him to call off the bet, but instead she asked for the secret. She passed the secret on to the men to give them the answer, and it says at the end of the pasuk in Zayin, "Vataged hachidot livnei amo," and she says the riddle to the bnei amo. She told him the answer because they were bnei amo, and she had feelings close to them more than to her husband, who she really didn't have feelings for as much. And that's why she did more than what they had asked. They had asked to tell them to call off the bet, and she gives the answer to them, which means they will win the bet. So let's now move on to Pasuk Yud Ches. Yes, ma'am.
Does anybody suggest that the fact that she keeps calling them Bnei Amma is a reflection on the insincerity of her conversion?
It could very well be. No, I don't know if anybody mentioning that that I saw. It could be there is. There's always lots to see. But it could very well be. I mean, it didn't really work out, the shidduch, as you'll see very soon. You'll see what kind of wife she was.
It just struck me because usually when you convert, you're supposed to consider your people. Yeah.
That's a good observation. Keeps calling it Livnei Amo. Okay. Yud. I hear. Yud Ches. Vayomru lo anshe ha'ir b'yom hashvi. So now the men of the city tell him on the seventh day. This is the seventh and final day of the wedding feast. B'terem yavo hacharsa. Before the sun comes down, in other words, before the end of that seventh day. Again, the analogies, the word cheres keeps creeping back. If you recall, way in the beginning of Sefer Shoftim, it hints to cheres, a kli cheres, an earthenware utensil. Earthenware utensils, there's nothing to do with them but to break them if they become tamei. It's always that analogy, and that means, things are not going well. That the evil side is getting stronger. We mentioned this way back in the beginning of the Sefer. So we're calling the sun, the Charsa is the Shemesh. Why call it the Charsa? Because it's kind of saying that, first of all, it's hinting the fact that Shimshon's sun is going down, and that the evil of the Cheres, the earthenware, is creeping up. So they say, Mama sok midvash, what is sweeter than honey? Uma'az me'ari, and what is more powerful than the lion? So they understood they got the riddle. Vayomer lahem, and Shimshon says to them, Lule charashtem be'eglosi, had you not plowed with my calf, lo mitzasem chidasi, you would not have found the answer to my riddle. So what does that idea mean? Charashtem be'eglosi. That first of all, so it was clear, he's saying, number one, that the only way you got the riddle is you got it out of my wife. And he knows that they got it out of the wife and nowhere else, because that's why he waited till the very last minute. He figured he waited till the very last minute, she'll be able to hold it back, at least for, an hour, how long that is. And obviously, and she didn't, so he knew as no one else could have told. He didn't tell his parents. He didn't tell anybody. Had he told her 2 days ago, they would have told him 2 days ago, right? So he waits till the very last minute, and at the very last minute they come up with the answer. So clearly, you got it out of my wife. So had it not been for my wife, you would not have gotten it. So that's one idea. But another idea is that he certainly suspected that the only reason his wife would betray his confidence in such a way is that she must have been already unfaithful to him, to some of these Philistine guys. And therefore she would be willing to reveal the truth, and therefore she said it. And as we will see in 2 Psukim, his suspicions were exactly correct. So, and that's the idea, like plowing with my calf. Even the wording would suggest something as such. So it's clear that she told, and it's clear that she really doesn't care for him at all. So now he's got his excuse to get angry at these guys, because now he'll say, you guys cheated. You got it out of my wife, and now you're going to expect for me to give you these 30 garments? So now the kind of things he does now is going to try to leave the impression that he is really a hot-tempered fellow. He's very impulsive, very strong, and he takes things very personally. So look what he does in Pasuk Yates. Now again, the last thing people are going to think, that he's doing this as a defender of the Jewish people. He's already marrying this Philistine girl. He's carousing with these Philistine guys. So, okay, so you can understand what he's doing now in a fit of anger. It's a personal grudge that he has with these guys. So you test. Vatitzlach alav ruach Hashem. Here we come to that again. Vatitzlach alav. That the ruach Hashem passes over him, but it also literally means was successful. So in other words, this is the source of his strength. The fact that it's the ruach Hashem comes over him. So one person's strength alone will not be enough, as we'll see in a minute what he does. Vayered Ashkelon, and he goes down to Ashkelon. Vayach mehem shloshim ish, and he kills 30 people. Why does he have to kill 30 people? Because Vayikach es chalitzosam, he takes their garments. She says, okay, you want a set of clothing? You want some suits? Here's the suits. Where'd you get them from? I killed 30 of your fellow countrymen to get the suits. You think I'm going to go to Moors and have to spend money on 30 suits? I'm gonna just kill 30 guys. I didn't have to spend any money on it. So first of all, he's able to kill Plishtim. And people realize he's a strong guy. And now more than this, it adds, Vayichar Apo, and he was angry. Vayal Beis Avio, and he went up to the house of his father, meaning he left town, and he went back. He says, I don't want nothing to do with you guys. Yeah, and he left the whole wedding feast, left everybody behind. He says, here's your stuff, and I'm out of here. So we'll have to see what justifies Shimshon in killing 30 innocent Plishtim. That's an important question that's not dealt with here, but perhaps when we go to the next story of what he does, where there is one of the Meforshim gives a little bit of a reason, maybe we can apply it as here as well. I mean, there has to be a reason. You just can't stop kill a Plishti. Now, you could, what will come out later, and we could say it now, is that certainly the Plishtim have been terrorizing the Jews. And there's no idea, notwithstanding what the UN feels, there is no idea. It's claiming we're just innocent bystanders, and the terrorists, they're taking over our churches, and they're taking over our hospitals. And what can we do? We can just sit here and do nothing. It's the biggest bunch of baloney. You know, somehow the Palestinians can reproduce like cockroaches and have millions and millions of them. They got so many of them, and they all just stand by. They can't do anything to anybody. Right? So that's not true. If something is done that is wrong, you have to stop people doing things that are wrong. If all the Palestinians, the innocent Palestinians, would say, you can't get into our hospitals, you'll have to shoot us first, and you have 500,000 of them going to the hospital, then you can't kill 500,000 people. You could put a stop to it. Same thing. There's no such thing as an innocent Plishti when the Plishtim are terrorizing the Yidden. So for that alone, they're Chayiv Misa. They all deserve to be killed at any point in time. They're violating all kinds of laws. Well, I know that you're going to find it very difficult to understand. So what do you mean? What do they do? You cannot allow injustice to happen just because you don't like the Jews. You know, the Jews are not, a free license to kill them. And therefore, in God's eyes, they're all Chayiv Misa. They're culpable for the death penalty. Plain and simple. So if Shimshon has a way of killing Plishtim, and the broader perspective is to bring peace and tranquility to the Jews, there's no such thing as an innocent Plishti, and today there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian. There's no such thing.
So this sounds like a justification.
No, it's not. You can't.
Goldstein. That's what this sounds like.
First of all, that's true. First of all, he was he was justified.
He was
a murderer.
He saved.
You're not getting.
Okay. A murderer.
Okay, speak to Rabbi.
Okay, so you know what? God forbid, I'll have 30 Palestinians come in the room next one and say, we're all going to kill the Jews tomorrow, and they get themselves all hyped up, and you'll just sit back there and wait till they'll kill you.
No.
That's all. That's clear. They had a whole getting all roused up, and they're all saying death to the Jews. They already have been killing Jews. And the truth of the matter, again, you're looking at civil, corrupt, secular law.
License to kill any Palestinian.
No, the Palestinian people.
To us, yes.
The Torah. You see in the stories, if a nation of people sits by and allows murderers to murder people, right? Then you are saying we condone all this lawlessness. That's what the Torah is saying. And you're not allowed to. There's no such thing as saying, we just sit by and there's nothing we can do. There's no such excuse in the Torah. If you see a people who are doing things that are totally immoral, illegitimate, and they're a bunch of murderers, doesn't matter what you think your cause is, it is wrong. That's all there is to it. And you leave yourself liable in God's eyes, again, I'm making a distinction here. In God's eyes, you deserve to die. Now, what you're able to play out is another story. is another story. If what you do is going to cause more Jews to die, or if you're going to do then you have to use seichel. But in the purest sense, they're all chayiv misa. They're all chayiv misa because they're all doing the most corrupt things in the world. They're aiding and abetting murderers on a day. I don't think, Shelley, you see enough people being blown up in front of your face to appreciate it. It all is statistics, and statistics are very neutral. But there are real mothers who are crying for their children who got blown up because terrorists just want to blow up Jews. There are real children who are orphans because terrorists want to blow up Jews. There are no orphans amongst the Palestinians because Israelis just want to blow up Palestinians. These are people who are corrupt through and through. You understand? To allow a few people to take over your country and to do nothing about it means you are aiding and abetting them. So they're all chayiv misa. That's what Torah says. They're all chayiv misa. And if there would be ability to give them chayiv misa, it should. That's all there is to it. And just because the UN is more, really, the UN is chayiv misa. What are we playing games with here?
That's right.
When you're going to see, when the cataclysmic ending of the world will come, and you're going to say, why did all these innocent non-Jews die? Because they're not innocent non-Jews.
So the Palestinian laborer that's building the home in Ariel, that's after the settlement freeze is over, should be shot because he's a Palestinian.
Any Palestinians that are aiding and abetting them.
Now we're saying aiding and abetting.
Not now. That's what I've been saying the whole time.
Why is there a show there?
Hang on.
Why is there a show there?
You said every...
No, I'm saying every Palestinian who's aiding and abetting. The ones that aren't are getting killed. That's all. The ones that aren't are getting killed. Everyone are going to tell me a Palestinian who's far away and removed, has nothing to do with them, and is exception from the rule. I'll guarantee you there might be a couple exceptions. But at the end of the day, even those aren't exceptions. But those, you see, what do you get to all the ones in Gaza there? Oh, we're innocent people there, while we let them shoot Katyushas from Gaza, from Khan Yunis. What are you going to say? They're innocent bystanders. You got to say you have to stop doing this.
On children playing in the
That's all.
Yes.
So you got Palestinians.
Not protecting them.
What?
I'm not saying you're protecting them.
But they are.
But no.
That's the point. They are.
You can't just walk down the street and say, okay, you're a Palestinian, boom.
We're talking about in that group, in that area, and especially in Hebron, where they all were saying death to the Jews. I don't care if you all together say death to the Jews. As far as I understand, that means you want to kill the Jews. Okay? And the least of which you are is aiding and abetting. And if you didn't believe in it, you wouldn't say death to the Jews en masse like that. That's all.
And to come out in the streets and celebrate with Yitzhak Rabbi was assassinated. What did the children do and the women? They came out in the street and they started to...
So I'm saying that the Palestinians, as a group of people, the Plishtim as a group, they were oppressing the Jews, and for no reason. It doesn't say anywhere in the Navi the Jews were being bad to the Plishtim, and therefore the Plishtim in reprisal did this. They just wanted on their own to hurt and torment Jews. So if you're part of such a place and you don't protest what's going on, then you are just as guilty. That's all. You're just as guilty. You have to get up and say, I reject what you're doing. I am now going to go onto the Jewish side because they're the more correct side, or I'm leaving this country. That's what you have to do. You can't just say, yeah, I'm a pro-Palestinian. Pro-Palestinian means you're pro-murderers. That's all. That's what they are from the beginning. The inception of the PLO from 1964, before there was a separation, was to destroy the Jews. And that's the way it's been. It hasn't changed. That's what they want to do. And anyone who is pro-Palestinian does not deserve to live. Now, what would happen in the real world, how you make that happen, that's a different story. Again, there's a difference between what's the halacha in God's eyes and what you can practically do. It's another issue. It's another issue. But in the times of where you didn't have a UN and the world was much more civilized because of that, then you could go and just kill them. And that's how you dealt with it. Can you imagine if David HaMelech would want to go against Plishtim? He would be condemned in the UN. And they would cut off his support. And they would, all the other things that they do, because, God forbid, he's attacking Plishtim. How could he do that? After all, Plishtim have an inalienable right to kill Jews. Right? Right? It's excessive force, excessive, what do you call it, retaliation. You see it, so the whole world is corrupt. So you're going to see the day will come, Shelley, when God will say most of the world's going to get blown up and killed. And say, how did God let that happen? Just remember, these are all corrupt. The world is all corrupt. They've violated every Noahide law, backwards and forwards, inside and out. Even if you're going to say there's a nice non-Jew who lives in Canada, the fact that he doesn't get up and protest and say the fact that we have gay laws and all these things that are against the 7 Noahide laws means it's fine with you. That's what's happening. Unless you send a letter of protest. If this nice non-Jew says, I'm sending a letter to the Canadian government, I protest what you're doing, this is not correct what you're doing, I don't believe in what you're doing, and this is terrible, and I'm forced to have to comply, but if you say that, then it means you agree to what's going on. They're chayav misa.
So we should go.
Not we should go. We can't go. We can't go.
Okay, they deserve to be killed.
In God's eyes, they're chayav misa, and God will deal with it. We can't do with it because we don't have it.
Therefore, why then, for Baruch Goldstein, let God deal with it? Why do you take?
So you're right. That's the only error he made. The only error he made.
Let God deal with it.
Well, and sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes if you think that in 2 hours they're going to kill all the Jews, and if that's what's going to happen, then you don't have much of a choice.
But it wasn't, that imminent.
You know what? It's what you read, my friend, and the Israeli press has a great way of distorting reality, and everyone knows that. Because if you would believe them, you'd believe not one Haredi soldier fights in the army, when most of the Haredi most of the officers are Haredi. Right. If you'd believe what the Israeli press writes, then you read what you believe. That's all. That you have to look at what the realities are and speak to people who are telling you the truth. And unless you've spoken, you'll know the truth. You only know what the press has allowed you to know. That's the problem. You're going to read the New Testament. You'll read what the church wanted you to know also. You have to know what the emes is. Know what the emes is. Yeah.
The fact that it says that Titzlach ala Ruach Hashem, the pasuk before it says that he killed 30 men. Could that be that is there some sort of a hint that maybe this is what Hashem that through Nebuah he knew he was supposed to do this?
Well, this was all part of his plan.
No, but I'm not talking about his plan. I'm saying that the exact pasuk before it says he killed him, it says, "But Titzlach ala Ruach Hashem." And could that be that was Hashem? It was with that Ruach Hashem that he proceeded with this, with this part that would seem disturbing to people.
Could be. I mean, obviously, if Hashem didn't want him to do it, he wouldn't give him the strength to do it. Yeah. It doesn't appear that he was that strong naturally, so that came from the Ruach Hashem, right? Okay, he's made a little mistake. He hasn't made unrepairable mistakes, but still, this is the first step of the plan.
What's the mistake he made?
Well, the fact that he was intimate with the woman.
Oh.
That was a mistake. I mean, according to most Meforshim, they say that was a mistake, right? But
Was he married to her at that time?
He was married to her.
So then he said this is right.
Well, he wasn't supposed to live with her. The only reason to marry her was as a subterfuge to be able to do what he has to do. You could be married and not intimate. There's no need for him to be intimate with her. That's not suiting his needs to be intimate with her. So he didn't need to, as we'll see, especially with the suspicions that he had. Okay, let's continue. Pasuk Chav. One last point. The Malbim says, what did he not give them? What was the bet? What was he supposed to give them?
Sheet.
He didn't give them the sheets.
No sheets.
He didn't give them the sheets. So he didn't give them the sheets, alone says, because he knew they cheated in the bet. You don't deserve everything. And how is he going to get sheets? That's going to be a little harder. But hey, they cheated. You cheated on the bet. I'm not going to give you everything you wanted on the bet, but whatever I can give you that suits my plans to kill Plishtim, that's what I'll give. Like he didn't kill 60, he killed 30, exactly 30, right? Because that's exactly what for your bet. But it's like a compromise. I'll pay you half the bet. Since you cheated, I'll pay you half the bet. But it's not like I agree you really won the bet. And now you see Pasuk Chav, exactly we find what he was suspicious of. And then the wife of Shimshon, she now went to one of his friends that was friends with him. She went and married one of the friends, the Philistines. Okay, so clearly the suspicions were correct. That and the parents were correct in telling him it's a very immoral society, and since her conversion, in the final analysis, had been for the sake of marriage, because as soon as Shimshon's gone, she went back to her old people. So that's clear that her conversion really wasn't a good conversion. All right, and it could be the fact, and this was his mistake, that he wanted to be and was intimate with her. Show that he thought this would be the problem with Shimshon. Always was that if he thought it was correct, he thought he understood all the time whatever he thought was the correct thing to do. And sometimes you may think it's correct, but you have to ask. And if you don't ask, then you make these mistakes. So, good. So the fact that the Torah tells us that Shimshon's wife now marries one of the close companions, they're pointing out that obviously there was not a great degree of sincerity over there. Although Shimshon may have hoped it was sincerity, but at the end of the day it was not sincere. Okay. We move now on to Perek Tesvav. So this was like the first low development of his plan. But it's now going to get more and more. Now you figure, like, why did he run away? Well, he runs away, obviously. Everything's playing out the way he wants it to, completely. As we now see in Pasuk Aleph. Vayehimi Yamim, it was after many days. Usually after many days means a lot of time has passed. And it could be even up to a year has passed. And what happens? And when is this? B'mei Ktsir Chitim. It is at the time of the wheat harvest. Why do we need to know when it's time of the wheat harvest? Well, what are the geographic conditions when there's a wheat harvest? There's a lot of wheat all over. The land is dry. And Smokey the Bear would tell us, be very careful what you do with matches. And so this will now show us in a few verses, he will take full advantage of this situation. Okay? So it's a great opportunity if one wishes to cause destruction through fire. It's a prime time. You can imagine what kind of wildfires could happen at this time of year. So just keep that in your computer up here. Vayivkod Shimshon es ishto. So Shimshon decides to go back to his wife and visit his wife. B'gdi izim, and he comes with a gdi izim, with a baby goat. Now, what are the parallels over here? Parallel goes back to Yehuda. We've already discussed how Yehuda went to Timnah. Timnah's just like Shimshon did. And also after he was with Tamar, who he didn't know was Tamar, right? She said, what am I going to give you? I'll give you a baby goat, right? So he brought a baby goat. Couldn't find her though, but offered a baby goat. So the same thing here is, I'll give her a baby goat. Why he wants to do that? In 1 minute. We will see. Well, so she goes, Vayomer, so Vayomer, he says, Avo el ishti hachedra, I want to go to see my wife in the room. Now, Avo could mean, it could be just meaning, as Mitsuda says, I want to sleep with my wife. She's my wife, I want to sleep with her. V'lo nesano avi lavo. The father did not allow him to come. Now, you got to understand, if Shimshon was a very strong man, what do you mean you don't want to allow him to come? Just throw him out the window and just take, So obviously, it only works when it's the Ruach Hashem is there.
Her father.
Her father.
Yeah.
Her father does not allow him to go in. So now here is a very nice side point over here. So why is he bringing a baby goat? Why is he bringing a baby goat? Any suggestions?
Symbol to her. Symbol to wants to have a baby.
Let's say it's simpler. Is this not a gift?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, it's a gift. So he left in anger over her betrayal, right? So you would have expected what should happen. At least she should have been begging him for forgiveness, right? But now, just the opposite is occurring, that Shimshon is coming with gift in hand. Right? So the Navi is writing that Shimshon is the one who brought a gift for his wife. Now, this seems to be a very minor detail. I mean, why do I have to write this? It could have just said, he came back and said, I want to be with my wife. What does it matter to tell us he had a little baby goat in his... He wanted to give her a baby goat. Doesn't seem to... Must be it wants to teach a lesson. Okay? So some of the Forshim say like this, that this teaches us how a Jewish husband is expected to behave towards his wife when she wrongs him. Meaning to say that when a husband and wife get in a quarrel, and when the wife is at fault, what's the husband supposed to do when the wife is at fault? Instead of extracting a confession out of her that she was wrong, he is supposed to give her a gift. That is what is supposed to happen. Okay? What's Rafal chiming in?
When you said when she is wrong, Rafal said, when does that happen?
Okay. Anyway, goat is a very nice gift. You see that even Yehuda offered Tamar a baby goat. You know,
So like,
you know.
It
was a good thing.
start, like,
You know, yeah, get fresh milk. It's a good thing to have.
Affectionate gift. It was considered an affectionate.
Yeah.
I forget what I said.
Okay, an affectionate gift, whatever. A goat is not such a hostile animal. It's so the word being that it takes a lot of humility for the husband to pretend and take the blame for what happens and apologize, as Shimshon is doing over here. So they quote Rav David Kronglass of blessed memory, who was a mashgiach in the Baltimore yeshiva, and this is what he would tell Brachrim with shalom bias problems. The wives are going to love to hear this one. It says, a guy got in a fight, and he says it's the wife's place. So he would tell the guy like this. He says, if you're wrong and she is right, then you're obliged to apologize. And if you're right and she is wrong, then you must certainly apologize.
That's right. Very good.
So interesting line over here that he says. Yeah. So the question is: so why is it that men more than women are instructed to humble themselves and make up with their spouses than the opposite? So he offers a very interesting insight. He says, now don't take this line wrong the first second you hear it. Just say, oh, that's crazy, I'm not going to listen anymore. Just like the women were very happy to hear the line Rav David Kronglass just said, so be happy to hear the next line. He says the reason why the husbands have to do it is because women generally find it much more difficult than men to admit that they're wrong. And the reason for that is because they have different roles than men have. Women are the enablers. Women are the developers. They guide and shape the development of everything they're given. They're given a home, they're given children, they're given husbands, and they have the responsibility to develop that. Not to build it, but to develop that. So for this role, Hashem created women with steady, conservative natures, not to be reckless, not to be impulsive, as opposed to men. They're generalizations, right? But throughout history, we see that women have sinned less than men. Comes up to the golden calf, and man says, "Let's go right away. Let's give the gold." Woman says, "Wait a minute. Let's take it easy." Right? So generally, they're much more conservative in nature. Men, they're the innovators. They're driven to go and build out the world and go out into the world and make it happen. So in the spiritual realm, the men manifest their drive by being extreme. Men are more extreme, generally speaking, they're more extreme than women. And usually the woman has to rein them in. Now, here's the point. Women are human too, and they do make mistakes from time to time. So when a woman does something wrong, and especially if she fears that it leads to the husband's displeasure, so she feels that she's lost her whole purpose in life, and that she's a total failure. because that's her realm. And therefore it's very hard to admit that you're a total failure, because if this is what your whole malice is to build up the husband, make him into the man, it's hard for her to admit if she's made a mistake in that area, because that defines everything she is. So it's very hard to admit fault. Now, we're not saying they make faults all the time, but that's a very hard thing to admit that mistake. On the other hand, a guy, when he does something wrong, you're right, he doesn't feel like he's totally destroyed himself with that wrong act, so he can just bounce right back. I'll go on to the next endeavor, and quick to say they're sorry. They may not come from such a depth, but it's easy for them to say they're sorry. Women, it's got to come from the depths and this and that. It says, "Oh, was I so bad? Was I so this? This is my whole life is this relationship, and for me to have done something wrong, it means my whole life is wrong." So it's much more difficult for them to admit that they've made a mistake. As much as they make less mistakes also. Guys make mistakes all the time. It's easier to admit you make mistakes. So if it's hard for them to admit the mistake, don't demand and extract it out of them. Can't demand what's hard to come from. Well, for a guy, it is easier to admit mistakes because they're so impulsive. They make a lot of mistakes, and therefore they don't think about it that much, and they should try to do that. So therefore, if your wife is wrong, good. She ain't going to admit she's wrong, and that is a very true thing. It's very hard. Now they don't make as many errors either, so they don't admit they're wrong, and that's one of their. You see that with Chava. Why chief makes it up? The snake told me to.
See it without us.
Yeah, what?
See it without us.
Yeah, well, monkey see, monkey do.
It was him
No,
first.
so
He said it first.
My wife gave it to me,
It was my wife's fault.
which is true.
Both of them were true.
But who's the one that started it off, right? She made the first error, right? So, but it's very hard to admit, and his mistake too was he should have come forth with the gift, which was his mistake. But to get a woman to admit it, and husbands try to do that all the time. It's the wrong. It's the wrong method. It's the wrong method because you're not going to get it. You're just not going to get it, and it will just escalate issues. So you have to just say, "Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry I made any problem over here." And remember, you don't want to be right. You want to have shalom. That's the biggest mistake we make in marriage. No, she has to admit to me that she's wrong. It's just okay. And if she admits to you, so what's either A, she won't be sincere in it, and B, you've humiliated her, right? And she'll have to deal with that on her own way, right? But you're not gonna win in this. So and another reason. One second. Okay. So another reason they bring mystically is that why is it easy to appease a man and not a woman? Because the fortune say he reacts like the place he was created from, and she reacts like the place that she was created from. So the man was created from the earth, which is very loose, very pliable. The earth, you can change form a lot with the earth. You can dig it, you can this. That's what he's from. That's what his nature is. The woman was created from a bone, which is hard and not pliable. So the morale explains that right. She's created from a bone because she's supposed to be the backbone of the husband. She's called the bias. She's called the house because she is the strong, protective shelter for the family, and therefore she's strong, and therefore she ain't going to give in so easy. That same strength that won't allow her to give in to the mistake of the golden calf, and the same mistake that won't let her to give in to believe what the spies have to say, right? She doesn't move positions easily. That's the nature, and that's a good milah. Because if she just, the husband says, "Oh, this guy met me, got a great deal in Florida, we only need $100,000, and let's just give the money." Your wife's going to say, "Wait a minute," right? She says, "Whoa. I'm in charge of making sure this family doesn't fall apart. So, and you're just out there to go build the world, and you're reckless. So let's call a few people and find out what's going on." And then you just find out, this guy's a shyster, and we're not going to do that. And it's very good. It's a very good virtue. She doesn't move. And when her head's on straight, that's a tremendous virtue. But a woman like a man has a Yetzer Hara too and will make mistakes. But if the nature is, and usually she's right, okay, but when she's not right, go get her to see that she's not right. And that's also something. So, but the solution isn't. So just tell her to say that she's wrong. She can't do that. So the husband only has one eitzah. He has to say, I'm sorry, and that's all. And that's all. You don't have an eitzah. You know, there's no eitzah how to deal with it. If you're going to want to force her to say she's wrong, it means you're making her go against her whole nature. Well, the guy, b'derech hateva, can say he's wrong, but it's not such a big deal. Just like he's quick to want to give $100,000 to an investment, he says, okay, he is able to quickly say, I was wrong. He's able to do that. So the woman's got to be clever to find a way to find out he's wrong. And heaven help us for women who can't dig into their own neshamas and realize when they're wrong themselves. And that's my new vort now is bischus Noshim Rashanios lo yavo hagula. In the merit of wicked women, the redemption does not come. It's the inverse of the famous Chazal. Right? The famous Chazal says, in the merit of the righteous women, we have been and will be saved. So obviously, if we haven't been saved now, it's because there's a lot of not righteous women in the world. And you can't have it both ways, ladies. You can't have it that when everything's good, it's because of the women. Because of the women we got out of Egypt. Because of the women we didn't serve the idols. Because of this we didn't do that. And in the future it's going to be because of that. Wonderful. So how come Mashiach isn't here now? Must be the women aren't the women they're supposed to be. And you can understand why. Because if they make a mistake, and they're not willing to give in on, and if too many women make too many mistakes, right? If the women think they have to have $5,000 human shaitels, and they have to have this, and they have to have that, and they have to make the husbands have all the gashmis in the world, right? And they don't let their husbands go and learn because they got this whole new attitude that's out there, then of course you're not going to... We're not expecting the men to bring the Mashiach. Men are not bringing the Mashiach. The only option is the women. So if they're not, then it's a major problem over here. So therefore, men, all we could do is just, bring a gift. That's all. Show your appreciation for them.
So I should bring gifts to my wife and not come to learn, I guess, right? Because I'm not going to help bring the Mashiach.
Don't go sweet.
No, you have to learn. I'm not saying you have to learn. And when you come back from learning, you give her a gift. The main board is you just have to appreciate.
We're actually having a fundraiser. We have baby goats in the next room.
The main board for the husband to do, and I was telling, as I said in a shir a number of weeks ago, appreciate her. Yeah. You can go out and learn, but you have to tell, I appreciate so much that you let me learn, and I know it's hard for you, and this and that, but of course, I'm not learning for myself, I'm learning for the family. In other words, the wife has to understand like this. The husband going out to learn, it's the family needs Torah to be learned. The wife needs that in this home, a lot of Torah should be learned. God has delegated the husband to be the one to learn the Torah. So when he's going out to learn Torah, that's his job. Just like the wife is very happy the husband goes to work and puts in 50, 60, 70 hours and kills himself to bring money that she can buy what she needs and or wants. She has to be just as happy that the husband is doing his job to bring in spiritual wealth into the home. So, and if that means she has to watch the kids, then that's her contribution in being able to enable him to learn. The home needs it. So how's it going to happen if he's going to sit with her and take care of the kids? Then there's no Torah going on in the house. So he's got a job and she's got a job. There's a famous story of a great rabbi who came home very late for Pesach once. The long story, I'll just say in 1 minute. He came home very late. It was Pesach night. And the rabbi always comes a little late. But as on the way home, he finds some crying going on in the house, and he notices an orphan and a widow are crying. He says, "What's the matter?" He says, "My husband passed away recently. There's no one to run the Seder. We feel terrible." So what did he do? He sat down for 2 hours and gave them a Seder. He gave them a Seder for 2 hours. Then he comes home 2 hours later, and the wife is going crazy. She says, "What's going on?" This and that. We didn't know what happened. This and that. He says, "Listen." He tells the story. So she says, "Yeah, but why do you have to do this? It was good for you. You got to be the Seder. We didn't." So the husband said, he says, "You know what? You have the same responsibility to make her Seder." Mm-hmm. Right? So your responsibility was to let me go make the Seder. And you had to take care of the kids. It's not that I took it upon myself. You had to take it upon yourself too. And the way you take it upon yourself is to enable me to do it. You know, you don't think I'd rather be with you and make the Seder with you and the kids and everything else like that? But who's going to take care of her? So my job is to do the Seder. Your job is to keep the house at peace till I come back and do it. So the same thing. You know, this whole attitude that Shalom Bayis reigns. Well, no, Shalom Bayis reigns on God's terms. That's the one part the women don't get this. They love to plug in Shalom Bayis for their narcissistic needs. Right? Shalom Bayis means it's God's house, and you want to make Shalom in God's house. And there's rules in God's house. One rule is the husband has to learn a lot of Torah. That's the rule. Right? So the husband doesn't have to excuse himself for that. Okay, that has to be within reason. But soon if a guy goes out for an hour and a half at night, that is not beyond reason. It is not beyond. If the guy goes for 8 hours, it's beyond reason. But he goes out, so the wife has to understand that. And the husband has to appreciate. The wife has to appreciate that the husband's going out to learn. No, the husband has to respect the husband. The wife has to respect the husband. I so respect that you go and learn. I respect you that after a hard day, you still want to learn Torah. And the husband says, I appreciate the fact that you're watching the kids while I'm doing the job of learning Torah. Then you'll be fine. And if the wife, for whatever reason, messes up, the husband only has one solution. Go get her a baby goat. Okay?